why we get stuck in English and what we can do about it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's first just, in all my sessions in these 5 years that I've taken, so the learners mention this thing. I am okay in speaking English, but when somebody comes in front of me who's speaking very good English, I get stuck, I get blank, I don't know what to say. Let's take a case that I'm trying to learn math, right? And there's a math teacher in front of me. Will I say 2 plus 2 is 5 because the teacher is good at math? No, right? I will say
Oh,
2 plus 2 is 4. And even if I make a mistake, so they can correct me. So I think that is the kind of attitude we should have if somebody
well,
is better in front of us. So that's just it. I think attitude that, yeah, just teach me, and it's your job to teach me English. You should know it better. But I, as a tutor or a trainer, can give you all the material, can give you all the support required, but it's you who has to practice every day. At certain times of the day you have to take out some time and practice, so English in your head. Hi Karishma, how are you?
yeah. Hello, ma'am. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for asking. Nice to meet you for the first time, and you look like all in the in energy and all ready for the session. So that's wonderful. Good to see that.
Yeah, you guessed it right because I have been waiting to connect with you for so long. I have been talking to the team that I wanted to connect with Ronak, ma'am. I have
Okay.
seen a few videos of yours with other YouTubers. I thought of connecting with you. So finally, it's my day. I'm happy and excited too.
That's wonderful, and even I am as excited as you. So thank you for connecting with me. All right, let's begin with the session, Karishma. So do you know, sometimes you want to say something, but the words just don't come to you, right? So we freeze, we hesitate, we go blank. That happens to, because this is not our mother tongue, and we are trying to speak in this language. So this happens a lot. So let's talk about why we get stuck in English and what we can do about it. Okay?
Oh, exactly.
All right. Let's first discuss some common reasons we and other learners get stuck. Okay. You also please tell me the reasons that you know of or you are aware of. All right. So number one, I think why we get stuck in English is that we are trying to think in our native language, right? We're thinking in our native language, in my case, Hindi, and in your case, I think as well, Hindi or any other tongue, and then we translate, right? This process slows us down. So that is the number one reason I feel. What do you think?
Yeah, that is absolutely true for the beginners, especially who are trying to learn this language and speak fluently. They face this one common problem. But
Hmm.
for me, what I feel is that I have good command over this particular language, but I still feel stuck many a times. I do have words in my mind, but I was not able to express them the way I wanted to express. So
Yeah.
what I do in that case, I just rephrase my sentence. I make another structure. Usually when I stuck on certain point of time
Hmm.
and I started feeling very uh, bad about it because I don't want to get stuck. I want to sound fluent, right? That's the very common intention every person has before like communicating with others, that we should sound fluent.
Hmm.
And so this is what usually I do, but I don't know what's the reason. Even I know everything I feel, but still I even do get stuck sometimes.
Right, right. So I think, as you said that, I think your problem occurs with vocabulary. Is that true? That you do not have the right word to express your feeling, whatever you want to say at that particular moment. So you rephrase, you use another words. Maybe instead of single word, you probably use a sentence to explain your feeling, right? So I think in that case, reason, as we discussed, is that we translate from our mother tongue to English. Number two is the lack of vocabulary, right? As you rightly mentioned. So that's a very, very common thing. And that's genuine, right? You're learning another language, so you do not know all the words, right? And maybe you have learned a word, but then it just won't strike when you need it to. So that's just All right, that's normal. I think another one is the fear of making mistakes,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah,
you're too scared of being judged or laughed at. So in your mind, you are dealing with this fear, you're dealing with this pressure. So how do you think you will be fluent? How do you think you will not get stuck, right? So first of all, we would need to work on this fear. We need to work on this, the removal of this fear, right? So that is another thing. What do you think about the fear of making mistakes?
that's absolutely true. Fear is, I think, that is also one of the main reasons like people are afraid. Even sometimes, though I feel that I am a good speaker, I can speak well, but if sometimes if somebody is speaking in front of me who is speaking better English than me, even I start fumbling. I started getting stuck because I pressurize my mind to speak good English. And
Mhm.
just because of getting that impression, I end up making even more mistakes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's very, very common. You mentioned, I think, in all my sessions in these 5 years that I've taken, so the learners mention this thing. I am okay in speaking English, but when somebody comes in front of me who's speaking very good English, I get stuck, I get blank, I don't know what to say. And that's very common. I've heard it from almost, I think 60-70% of my learners, this particular thing. So what do you think can be done in such a case?
I think we have to work on ourselves. I think it no one can help us with this particular situation. I think only we are the right person to deal with this kind of problem because it's your fear. You have to deal with it. I think you have to tell your subconscious mind that do not afraid. It's just a human being sitting in front of you. Don't afraid. Even if you make mistake, just be okay with that because every mistake you make, you learn something better for the next time. So I think this is all about self learning. No one
Right.
can help you with this.
That's true. So, what I think we can do in such a situation when, when we normally speak right English, but when somebody comes in front of us who's very fluent, very confident, well acquainted with that language, we get stuck. So, I think what we need to do in such a case is that, first of all, we have to realize that this is a language. What is a language? Language is a means of communication. You should be able to put your point across clearly, right? You should be able to make the other person understand what you're trying to say. That is it. That is the whole point of communication. That is the whole point of a language, right? So why are you afraid, right? So that, why, when somebody is speaking good in front of us, that's good. We can learn from them, right? So instead of hesitating, instead of being afraid, instead of being scared that we are being judged or we're being laughed at, we just need to realize that we're just here to put our point across concisely and perfectly, right? That is it. So you just have to speak and don't think about the other person being good at English, right? Or let's take a case that I'm trying to learn math, right? And there's a math teacher in front of me. Will I say 2 plus 2 is 5 because the teacher is good at math? No, right? I will say
No,
2 plus 2 is 4. And even if I make a mistake, so they can correct me. So I think that is the kind of attitude we should have if somebody
well,
is better in front of us. So that's just it. I think we should not be scared. We should not be afraid of being judged or laughed at. And even if we are laughed at, let it be. Let it be because you are learning a language. And as you correctly said, if you're making a mistake, that means you're learning something, right? So making mistakes is very important. So that's just it. That's just about fear of making mistakes, and we should how we can avoid that. And
avoid that.
another thing I feel is a problem is that we don't practice as much, right? Some learners I come across, they just want, they have a very laid back attitude that, yeah, just teach me, and it's your job to teach me English. You should know it better. But that just doesn't happen, right? I, as a tutor or a trainer, can give you all the material, can give you all the support required, but it's you who has to practice every day. At certain times of the day you have to take out some time and practice. So English in your head, but you can't speak it out loud enough. So that's just not of any use. So you have to
Absolutely.
give time or to practice.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Like if a person really want to learn it, he can learn it. These all seems to be excuses actually when it comes to learning English. So I
Hmm.
have seen people they master English within 4 5 months just with regular practice. They used to practice like 3 4 hours a day on like other application with co-learners. And this is how they gained a kind of confidence. And along with that I have seen people like who have been working from like ages but
Hmm.
still they're not able to speak because of their attitude, because they're not putting that much effort which is actually required.
Right, right. And something that you mentioned, they have been practicing from ages, but they haven't been able to speak yet. I see a lot of learners giving all the input. So I'm consuming all the content, I am reading, I am doing everything, but there's no output. I'm not practicing in real life. I'm not speaking in front of people. I'm not talking to a tutor. So that will not help, right? Since this is a language, you will only learn it when you are surrounded with that kind of environment, and you create that environment for yourself, right? You will have to speak, you will have to practice. So that's the only thing that can help you and take out of this situation. So yeah. And another thing is low confidence, simply. So we doubt ourselves even if our English is fine, and that is why we get stuck. And I think low confidence is the actual problem we face when somebody comes in front of us who's better, right? So
Right.
we try to compare ourselves and see that, oh, that person is speaking so much better. And why they're speaking better? Because they have put in the time, they have put in the energy, they have done all the practice required, right? So if we do that as well, so we'll be confident enough and we won't get stuck, I think.
Right, right. Self belief is important. I think that is important in every aspect of your life. Until you believe on yourself, you can't achieve any single thing. So it's very important before you start your journey, you fill yourself with the positive affirmations that yes, you can do it. First of all, you convince yourself that whether you are able to do it or not. So if you will convince yourself, your half of the journey is like possible,
Correct.
very positive.
That's true. Whenever I meet a learner for the very first time, this is the one thing I try to change in them always. I try now, I don't know whether it works on them or not, but this is my effort, that whenever they say that, they tell me all the problems, and there's a list of problems. They tell me 10 problems, that I get stuck here, I get stuck there, I can't speak, and there's no way in the world I can learn how to speak English. That's just not possible for me. I've been trying for years, it's not happening. I can't speak English at the end of the day. That's their conclusion. So the first thing I want to work is on their mindset, that it's okay and it's just a language, and stop saying these negative sentences about yourself, about your language, that I can't do it. We have to change that mindset first, that we can do it. It's just a language. It's just like learning your mother tongue, how we learned it when we were kids, right? We were not afraid of speaking wrong Hindi, or we were not afraid of using the correct grammar of Hindi, right?
Exactly.
As kids, we said what not, right? Every here and there. So that is the one thing that I try to work on, is their mindset. So that it's not going to happen if you keep saying that it's I don't know English, right? So you have to first be open to it, and you have to first accept the fact that you're learning it. When you accept the fact that you're learning it, you become okay with making mistakes as well, right? So that is what is required the most. So, and here comes my last point as well, that why people get stuck while speaking, is that they try to speak perfectly. Now
Mhm.
I do
Perfection.
it perfectly, so you want to say everything correctly, and you end up not saying at all. So that is one of the things that I see. So I tell my learners, make as many mistakes as possible. You are welcome. Make more and more mistakes every day in every session. Make 10 mistakes in a sentence. Because what will that do? You will give me something to correct you, right? So you will give me a wrong sentence and I will correct that. You will learn something new. So, this is not possible that you will start speaking and you will start speaking perfectly. That never happens. So, these are my most important common reasons that we get stuck, is number one, that you're thinking in your native language. Number two, you mentioned that lack of vocabulary, right? That happens. fear of making mistakes, and lack of practice, low confidence, and trying to speak perfectly. So these are my common reasons that I have come across that people do, and we should always avoid.
Right, right. I completely agree with you. But I have one question. Is there something like uh, individual background? Like, for example, my background is from Hindi medium school, or like I studied with, girls' school. Is that also the reason that we have that less confidence, or we don't believe in ourselves because we were not open up so much during our young age? Or
Hmm.
sometimes I have seen people saying it that I'm from village, there's no environment, no one is appreciating me
Hmm.
speaking in English. So is that like it can be the reason of like lack of self confidence?
Yes, of course. It's okay, I think. So where you come from does affect what you speak, right? So if I
Mhm.
was born in London, I would not be speaking English like this. I would not be speaking
Ah,
Hindi like this. So I would have been very fluent in the British accent of English. So it makes a difference where you come from, but that does not define where you can go, right?
okay.
I meet a lot of learners who are from Hindi medium, and even when I'm listening to them, I can't believe the fact that they're from Hindi medium because they have
Mhm.
worked on themselves, right? They have a goal and they know what they need to do about it. So even if they don't know what they need to do about it, they get the guidance required, right? So we help them go there. We help them create that kind of environment that they did not have. So that's just it. So you have to
So the
reduce.
conclusion is no matter from which background you are, if you really want to learn a language, simply you can learn it. It's not a rocket science as we
Absolutely.
heard it. So it's all about your positive efforts, your true efforts which you are making in order to improve your English.
True.
Right?
Definitely, yes. So,
Yes.
Karishma, you brought up a very good topic about why we get stuck. And, I wish we had more time, but I think in the next session we can discuss what we can do about it. So we discussed all these problems and we can discuss in detail about the solution to these problems as well. So it was wonderful talking with you, Karishma. You brought up a very, very relatable topic to, I think, all the learners that I have ever met. So that's just so great. So thank you so much for connecting with me, Karishma, today. And your energy is amazing. I would love to see you again in the next session. Take care.
Same here, ma'am. Even it's an amazing session for me as well. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Bye.